Hey guys, hope everything's going well. You guys know that drill. Smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't, and comment down below. Follow me on Instagram at AIH_sports. Alrighty, a few things. So, like I mentioned before, a handful of people that watch me are not subscribed. If you like my work, make sure to subscribe to my channel. Also, if you like my commentary on finance, make sure to subscribe to my other channel, AIH Finance. I'm going to put the link down below. Okay, so I have a few cards I want to show you that I got, and they are none other than Zack Greinke. That's right. I talked about how I'd be getting some of his rookie cards. I have one of his auto cards that I bought a few weeks ago too. Got to some comp C. There's another card in here. And yes. So if you look at the last few years, a lot of people have been focusing on Verlander. They've been focusing on Scherzer. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, who else is a Hall of Famer that's being overlooked? Or you don't see too many cards graded. Looking at the pop size of this, and the pop size is low. That means that there are cards floating out there but aren't graded. So I'm like, okay, let me get some raw cards of these. Granted, like I said, not too many PSA 10s out there, but once PSA decreases prices more, I'm hoping, then I can grade them. And then the arbitrage value will go hopefully in my favor. Right now, $50 a card to grade these, it's not in my best interest. But another thing about Greinke, his WAR surprisingly is 73. It's up there with all of these active players who are Hall of Fame bound. He has more WAR. His WAR is greater than Verlander and Scherzer. Only thing differentiating between those two pitchers is that Greinke hasn't won a World Series ring. So if he has another ring and pitches another 1 to 2 more good years, what's going to happen to his card values? They'll go up. Now, I do believe that his best days are over, but I'm looking at it from a long term perspective. And the risk reward, I don't see too much risk to the downside, in my opinion, unless I grade them and they turned out to be crappy cards. Alrighty, wanted to get into my topic today, but before I do, I wanted to highlight that Karl Marx officially declared bankruptcy, and he blamed PSA. It's crazy. He blamed PSA, and takes no responsibility about him not taking or using customer funds and commingling it with your operations. That's a huge no-no. You're not supposed to do that. So, suppose you are in the futures industry. In the futures industry, you cannot commingle customer funds with business operations. That is against the regulation. The regulators say that's not allowed. Okay, and this guy, it's just quite interesting. And the other thing, before I get into the topic, and it'll sort of tie in, is that Karl Marx started his business in what, 2020, late 2020, and then he became a group submitter. What were PSA standards when they had old ownership in determining who could be a group submitter? The thing is that when I used to do AP work at my other firm, or at one of the first firms that I worked at, I had to do credit checks, or I had to send, not I had to do credit checks, I had to send credit applications back to the company that we wanted to purchase items from. And if we weren't paying up on it properly, they wouldn't do business with us. What was the due diligence on PSA's part? Right now, under new ownership, it seems like they're going to do a better deal in determining who's probably going to be a group submitter, and they determine 50% fees up front, I think that's a great plan. If Karl Marx had put 50% down initially, I don't think there would have been this problem. And he just started his business and it just went under in a year. Like, what the hell happened? Anyways, we'll see what happens in the coming months ahead. There's going to be more details on this. Okay, so what does this have to deal with the topic today? So I like talking about counterparty risk. What other risks are there in the hobby? In my opinion, one of the risks is people storing their cards. And sure, you don't want to keep your valuable cards at home unless you have a decent safe or a decent security system. I understand that. You don't want to keep all your cards at home. Makes sense. Now, what are some options? People believe they can put cards in a vault. And you see these companies and some new companies. I'm suspicious of new companies, by the way. They're saying that, oh, hey, we have insurance. Don't worry about it. It's going to be, there's all this security out there. We're going to keep your card. You just pay a one time fee year over year or whatever it is. It sounds good on paper, right? You're thinking, oh, good. I don't need to keep my cards at home. It seems like a safe, legitimate company. So here's the thing about insurance. You're told like, oh yeah, insurance is going to cover it. Insurance is going to cover it. I went to a podiatrist. It was just for a small procedure, and I was told, oh, insurance is going to take care of it. Next thing I know, I get a bill. It wasn't that much. It was what, $60, and I called the doctor's office. Doctor's office doesn't know what's going on, and they said, oh, call the billing department. The billing department is actually their own phone number. No one's picking up. It was lousy customer service. The doctor was great, by the way, but their billing service is behind. They never responded to my call. But regardless, I was told, hey, insurance is going to cover it. They didn't cover it. And $60 is not going to make or break me, but it just shows me that, oh, sometimes people say insurance is going to cover it, and they don't know what they're talking about. What does this have to do with the vault? What are the insurance companies? Because the company says, oh, it's insured. What is the insurance company going to cover? Okay. I've seen stories online where in a storage unit, which is not as similar as a vault, but regardless, people use storage units to make sure their items are safe. And they say, oh, you need this insurance, otherwise we can't do business with you. And then you take the insurance, and then you think, okay, all is well. Wrong. So some of the insurance companies out there, if there's a burglary or whatever, they're not going to cover it because a specific type of lock wasn't used. So this is what some of the companies do, not all, by the way. It must have been lousy insurance. But you have to ask yourself, these new companies out there, people can do their research. They say, oh, we have a vault. Don't worry. Store our cards with us. And then they say, oh, we have top line security, etc. And you just pay this one-time fee and you'll be covered. Don't worry. Insurance is taking care of it. What's inside that insurance coverage? What's in that contract? These are questions people need to ask. Now, there are companies out there that we are all familiar with that I believe have a better process. Some of them say that, hey, look, stored with us, we have one of the best security systems out there based on these certifications. And I think under Ryder, I forget, there's this one big insurance company and they have top line rating from it. And then in the FAQ, it asks or it says, what if we go bankrupt? And the company said that we are well capitalized, but in the instance we declare Chapter 7 bankruptcy, then uh, don't worry, the card's going to come back to you. And they also said that it's insured. So if I had a choice and I didn't want to keep the cars at home and I wanted to keep in a vault, I would look for a company like that. That doesn't mean that they're going to fulfill this obligation, but it sounds better than the rest of the companies, because all these companies I see and companies we've heard of, they say that, hey, uh, put your card with us. Obviously, there's a fee associated with it, and at the same time, it's fully insured. What does that mean? What does fully insured mean? What are they going to cover? Are they going to cover in case the company goes bankrupt? Who has claim to those assets? What's in the contract? That's what I'm curious about. And after this Karl Marx situation, people need to ask these questions because there isn't too much regulation in this hobby. So if there isn't too much regulation, there needs to be, the marketplace regulation. You need to do your own due diligence. And a lot of people didn't do that. You just can't simply trust someone just because they seem nice, they seem like your buddy, but in the end, they're just in it for themselves. They don't really care about you. The only thing they care about is green, and it's your money. And there needs to be accountability in this hobby, and I think that's one thing that can definitely improve. People are talking about you need to be positive. People need to be positive. And how people will become more positive? More accountability for all of the mess ups. In your job, you are working to make sure you improve on a daily basis. This is what can be done in this hobby, in my opinion. Okay? So, yeah, I think people need to ask more questions. And the group submitter things, I'm going to go back to this again. And in my opinion, people, they do not ask enough questions. I understand if you have a card that's maybe not worth no more than $200, if it's a SGC 10 or a PSA 10, whatever. I understand, okay, if it gets lost in the mail, if they send it through the group submitter, it's no big deal, all right? $200 may seem a lot, but in the grand scheme of things, it's not a lot in sports cars. But what if you're sending thousands and thousands of dollars worth of cards and using group submitters? And the reason why I say this, in Europe, there's this one group submitter, their packages got lost in the mail. Okay? They may have been responsible and meticulous to close detail or small details, but they can't control shipping. And you don't know what was in that contract that was signed with the insurance company. The insurance company may have said the same thing that I was told. Don't worry, insurance is going to cover it. And then at the end, insurance didn't cover it. Maybe they just went with the generic insurance, and maybe they didn't have a lawyer craft out the details should a package get lost with hundreds and thousands of dollars, or maybe millions of dollars. And a lot of people ended up getting smoked on that. Not everyone. And you have to ask yourself, if you're doing group submitters or working with group submitters, you have a lot of money with them. What happens if it gets lost in the mail? What type of insurance do you guys have? How much would they cover? These are the questions people need to ask. And if you don't ask these questions, these guys are not going to care. It doesn't matter how many times they've done a good job. A lot of packages get lost in the mail. We've had it with our own business. USPS lost a few of our packages. Granted, we were able to refund the money without any problem because we anticipate that. We weren't happy, but we understand you have to build this into your profit margins. A lot of companies, I don't know if they've built this into their profit margin. How many of them are over levered? We don't know. Karl Marx was over levered without a shadow of a doubt. Otherwise, he'd still be in business today. Anyways, guys, let me know what you think about this. Smash that like button, subscribe to both of my channels, and I'll talk to you later, guys. Thank you. Bye.